Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. BYU Cougars. Torres is Cougar crazy, baby. That's right. We've talked about Torres being Cougar crazy, but BYU wild game. I'm talking insane game. You know, it's crazy. I was getting ready for Fox Sports Radio, and it just felt like the entire game, they kind of had like that 8 to 10 point lead. It never really felt like it was in hand. And then all of a sudden I'm looking up and like Wisconsin has the ball with a chance to get the win. Instead, BYU gets the stop. They get the win 91-89. BYU heading to their first Sweet 16 since Jimmer Fredette was on campus in 2011. Torres is Cougar crazy, and Newark's about to be Cougar crazy this week because the BYU Cougars are now going to go to the Sweet 16 where they will face the Alabama Crimson Tide. By the way, BYU fans, if you're going to Newark, SeatGeek.com. Promo code Torres. You can get $20 off your tickets. SeatGeek.com. Promo code Torres. SeatGeek.com. Promo code Torres. Let's get into this game. You know, and listen, a couple things stand out about this. You know, one, I think the big thing to me that really stands out is that the final play of the game. And why the final play of the game matters is pretty straightforward. It is because a player named Mawit Mag came up with the biggest defensive stop of the season, okay? And I think we've shared this story before, but Mawit Mag is a transfer from Rutgers. And I think I've said this story before. He played high school basketball with Jalen Green at Prolific Prep. Jalen Green, who's now with the Houston Rockets. And Mawit Mag was basically the glue guy, defensive guy, do everything guy, all the dirty work, never gets any of the credit. And that's who he's been as a college basketball player, okay? Played at Rutgers for 4 years, transfers to BYU. We spent so much time last offseason talking about Yegor Demon and Kay Bakeda and this guy and that guy and Kenneth Catchings. And Mawit Mag was the guy. Their season kind of changed when he was put into the starting lineup. He was put into the starting lineup probably about 2-3 weeks into Big 12 play. The team, I think, was 2-4 at one time in Big 12 play. And things absolutely took off. And so I'm not saying he's the only reason, but one, I think more than anything, this is why Kevin Young is in his first Sweet 16 in year one as the BYU head coach. It's because of the fact that he didn't have too much pride. You know, one thing I love about Kevin Young, and even when he was on the show, he talked about it a little bit, is the fact that like he basically said, this is all new to me. I'm learning. I love it. I love learning. I love leaning on my assistant coaches. You know, Chris Burgess, longtime college assistant coach. You know, Brandon Dunson, longtime college assistant coach. There's a few others. I don't want to leave anybody out. But he basically said, I'm learning in real time. And I think he came in, and I'm from the NBA, and I got all the answers. And I think that he was very willing to sit there and say, okay, what's working, what's not, what has to change. And I think a part of it was a simple change, like putting Mawit Mag in the starting lineup completely changed everything for this team. You get the defensive guy in there. The offense doesn't miss a beat. And now we have seen what is going on with this BYU team since all these changes have been made. I go back to that first Arizona game at home. That was a game to me that they were in position to win. They could have won. They did not win, but it worked out okay because after that they play Cincinnati. Following the Cincinnati game, they go on a 9-game win streak, the one that we have talked about, the win against Kansas, the game that I was at. You beat Arizona at Arizona the following week. You sweep West Virginia. You win at Iowa State. You beat Iowa State in the conference tournament, and it isn't until you face Houston that you take your first loss. And then, oh, by the way, 2 great NCAA tournament games, including the thriller against Wisconsin over the course of the weekend. And so I give Coach Young so much credit. The other thing that stands out, you know, one, the combination of older guys. This is why I like BYU coming into the tournament, is because 4 guys that have been part of this program, that have been part of this situation, that have had positives and negatives and good and bad and this and that, lost last year in the opener of the NCAA tournament to Duquesne. Well, those guys are all back. Well, guess who were the stars on Saturday? Richie Saunders, 25 points, 3 of 4 shooting from 3, 7 rebounds. Mr. Tater Tot himself. I'm sure you've heard the story by now. We talked about Fus Traore in the game on Thursday having a big impact. Trey Stewart is a guy that really was another guy that Kevin Young basically no disrespect, just he didn't have a role early, and now he's coming in 7 points off the bench for this team on Saturday. And so I love the growth of this team. By the way, I should mention Yegor Demon, all these freshmen playing nervous in the NCAA tournament. Yegor Demon ain't one of them, man. And I don't know if it's just because he's played in so many big games overseas, but he is a guy, Yegor Demon, that had 11 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and 1 turnover in that win for BYU against Wisconsin. And so I just bring it up because I think this is one of the best stories in college basketball. And the other thing I'll say, if you just like good quality basketball, make sure you're in front of the TV in Newark on Thursday. Duke versus we'll get back to Duke. I forget who they're playing, but BYU versus Alabama is the 2-3 or the 2-6 game in that bracket. I am so excited for that game. By the way, it looks like Duke will play either the winner of Arizona or Oregon, so we'll see if that game goes final. It's a 2-point game with 49 seconds to go, but BYU headed to Newark. BYU fans, enjoy this moment. And I think the other thing is, and by the way, we talked about it first. Okay, so all these other media that's coming in now, Kevin Young's amazing, Kevin Young's this, Kevin Young's that. Torres has been there from the beginning. Torres has been there since last April and May when Yegor Demon committed, when Cannon Catchings committed, when Richie Saunders came back. So let's show a little love here. In all seriousness, I love the props that BYU is getting. They get the win. They advance. They are headed to Newark in the Sweet 16. First time again since 2011.